So today we are going to learn about another one classification technique. Uh, Previously we have reviewed the classification technique, that is support vector machine, and the classification basics. So today we are going to see another one concept related to classification, that is decision tree. So decision tree is a decision support tool which uses a tree like structure or model for decisions and their possible consequences, including chance event outcomes, resource costs, and utility. So, it is one way to display an algorithm that only contains conditional control statements. So, based on certain conditions, you will move through the branches of the tree through different nodes and make your decisions as per your requirement. And decision trees are commonly used in operations research, specifically in decision analysis. Suppose a data set is given to you and you want to make a certain decision on the given data set for a new data. So, in order for that type of classification or decision making process, decision tree is really helpful. Okay, so let's see what concepts we are going to cover here. As I just told you that decision tree is nothing but a flowchart or tree-like structure. And here there will be different nodes and branches. An internal node will denote an attribute. A branch represents the value of a node attribute, and the leaf nodes will represent the class labels or class distribution. So decision trees, they can classify various instances by shorting them down the tree from the root to some leaf node, and that will provide the classification of a particular data point or instance. So and data point or instance is classified by starting at the root node. Suppose the tree has a root node, the starting node. By starting from the root node of the tree and testing the attribute specified by the root node and then moving down the tree. Give me one moment. Okay. So suppose this is one node and there are two branches. So based on certain criteria or condition, we will move along further leaf nodes. Again, the leaf nodes may have multiple branches based on various scenarios, and you will have to just move down the decision tree to make your decision. And while moving down the tree branch corresponding to the value of a given attribute, okay, so this process will be repeated for the subtree rooted at the new node. So if you are now on the root node, now you got a certain condition, suppose for yes condition and this is for no condition. In your given data or your problem, you have a no condition, so you will pick this subtree now. Okay, and now this no condition has again multiple conditions, suppose yes, yes, and no. So suppose you have a criteria of yes, so you will pick this portion of the tree now for making your decisions. So this is how the decision tree works for the classification purpose. We are going to see some of the criterias or methodologies for attribute selection in a given data set. If you are given a data decision, you need to make some classification using decision tree. So for making that decision, you need certain measures or criterias, and those measures are information gain, gain ratio, Gini index. So we will learn all of them, and these three again are dependent on the calculation of entropy, which is a new concept. Again, we will see how to calculate the entropy. We will look into that. So after we know how to calculate the entropy, it will be easier to move forward for calculating these three measures as given. Let's see a simple example of the decision tree. So here we have a training data set in this table. We call it Pi's computer. So if you see, there are multiple columns, and in the multiple columns you have multiple attributes, and each of the attribute has various characteristics, and we want to make a decision whether someone will buy a computer or not. And for that decision we have basically two classes, either yes class or no class, and each class is again dependent on certain measures or characteristics even. So if let's say the first one, the buys computer decision is no. So for that, what conditions of other attribute are we having? Age should be less than equals to 30, income should be high, shouldn't be a student, and credit rating will be fair. So someone will not buy the computer. But there are other classes also, and sometimes their conditions may overlap. So in that case, how to make a decision? Okay, how to make a decision? So in that scenario, this type of decision tree making process will help to certain extent. So if you see this resulting tree, we are starting with the root node as is. Then based on the conditions giving, we are making three branches: age less than equals to 30, in between 31 to 40, and greater than 40. And then moving forward from this branch, we are looking into another one attribute, student. So for student, we have two conditions or branching condition, either no or yes. If it isn't a student, it is not a student, then we will make a decision for buys computer as no. And if it's a student, then we will make a decision as buys as yes. So this implementation of the decision tree, we are basically getting from this table. So in the same way, age, if it is within the 3140, looking into the data, we will make a decision of buys as yes. If someone, mm, yeah, 31 to 40, 31 to 40, you can see the result of buys computer is yes. In the same way, for greater than 40 for the age, we are getting another one leaf node, that is credit rating based on this attribute, and the credit rating is again having two criteria such as excellent or fair. Either you can move along the excellent to make a decision for buys computer class, otherwise you can make a decision of buys as yes if the credit rating is fair. So this is how it works, but at certain conditions, how do we split this criteria, or how do we split into different branches? That is the main thing, and the splitting is dependent on these criteria that we saw: information gain ratio, Gini index, and entropy. Let's see some more details about the algorithm, or stepwise how the process is actually carried out. So for the algorithm of decision tree, it is a greedy algorithm. So why it is called greedy? Like, it constructs or creates the decision tree in a top to bottom manner, recursively, iteratively. You can go forward, backward for making the decision in a divide and conquer, because we are relying on the splitting condition. That is why we are including the divide conquer approach and recursive approach, and this is how it is called a greedy algorithm. So if we have in our data set for classification, we have a training set of D. We call the data set as D. And that data set or data table will have different classes in the form of class attributes. Then that training set or D, it can be iteratively or recursively partitioned into smaller parts or subsets while building the tree. And then in there, you have to select certain test attributes for classification purpose, and which will give you the optimal decision making capability. Okay, and this term is actually referred as your information gain. For making a decision, you rely on the information gain measure. So if we look into the main steps of the decision tree making process. So let me tell you what are the process. First, we need to select the best attribute from a data set as the root node. Okay. First, you need to make a root node. How do you make a root node? You have to see what is best. Okay. Which one is the best attribute to consider the node as a root node for that. Then we need to split or divide the training set into multiple subsets. And this subset should be made in such a way that each subset will contain the data with the same value of an attribute. Okay, similar weightage will be provided. And in the basis of that, you will make conditions. So now these two steps that I just told you, these two steps will be repeated on each subset again, on this subset, this one and this one, again and again, until you find the leaf nodes in all the branches of the tree. Okay, this is how the decision tree making algorithm works. Let's see some of the design issues of the decision tree. So what are the design issues? First design issue is while splitting the records or rows, while starting from the root node, how to split based on multiple conditions. That is the main thinking process here, which is most complex. And for finding out that splitting criteria, we have to rely on multiple measures that we have seen in the previous slides. And which test condition is the best one? Again, that is complex for determining or determination. Then when should you stop the splitting process? So that stopping of the splitting process, it will belong to the same class. When you will stop after splitting, when you see that the resultant attributes or records that we are having, they are belonging to the same class. Okay, and there are no further splitting conditions availability. So in that case, that is the case where you will stop, and it is called early termination. Sometimes you have to make certain prediction where you have to stop early. So these are certain issues we need to be careful when we are creating the decision tree. Let's see some of the, we already are aware about different types of attributes. So what are the different ways of splitting a given attribute? So first we are emphasizing on the nominal attribute. So as we know, a nominal attribute can have many values, if you remember. So its attribute test condition can be expressed in two ways, either a multi-way split or a binary split. So first, in the first figure, multi-way split. So the number of outcomes are depending on the number of distinct values for the corresponding attribute. So for example, if an attribute such as marital status has three distinct values such as single, divorced and married, then its test condition will produce a three-way split. Then it is also possible next to create a binary split by partitioning all the values taken by the nominal attribute into two groups. Okay, so for example, some decision algorithms are there. One example is CART, C-A-R-T. We will look into that algorithm. So that algorithm actually produces only binary splits like this. By considering, there is a formula. The formula is 2 to the power k minus 1 minus 1. So it considers this formula for creating a binary partition of k number of attribute values given in the dataset. So here if you see this picture in the binary split, these are three different ways of grouping the attribute values for marital status into two subsets: married, single, divorced, single, married, divorced, single, married, divorced. So these are also possibilities in case of your binary split. If we look into another type of attribute, that is ordinal attribute. So ordinal attributes can also produce the binary and multi-way split. So some kind of order will be maintained in this kind of attribute, if you remember. So ordinal attribute values can be grouped as long as the grouping doesn't violate the order property of the attribute values. So the figure here illustrates various ways of splitting the records based on a cert size attribute. So we have an attribute name is cert size. So cert can be small, medium, large, extra large, different sizes. So the grouping is shown in the figure. This multiple figures here for multi way split and binary way split. So here the cert size in the multi-way split, it can be divided into this way: many partitions as distinct values, providing different sizes of the cert. If you are considering binary split, uh, the attribute that is cert size can be divided into two different split, either small, medium, or large, extra large. Again, the same thing can be iteratively applied to have a binary split in a different kind of order, if you see. Okay. So if you are grouping um, the various criterias in this way, there is a possibility that it can violate the order. Okay, because ordinal attributes are supposed to maintain an order, and this um, confusion, while it is violating the ordering property, it can give rise to many problems while creating the decision tree. Then let's see continuous attributes. So continuous attributes are something where the attribute test condition can be expressed as a comparison. Okay, so mm, if we have annual income greater than 80K, so an attribute we are making some sort of splitting condition based on this given criteria of this attribute. So for binary split, either it can be yes or it can be no. Okay. Or if you have a range query of a certain form, such as you want to make a decision of the annual income attribute, where there are multiple ranges and each range you can consider as a different split: less than 10K, within 10K to 25K, 25K to 50K, 50K to 80K, and more than 80K. So based on again multi-way split condition criterias, you will further make the decisions. So the splitting conditions can be of different structure, like shown here in the three cases: ordinal, nominal, and your continuous. So let's see your algorithm for decision tree induction. I have already just told you in the third slide that when to stop partitioning, that is the major thing we need to decide, we need to look after. So all the samples of a given node, so you need to just keep on splitting when your splitting will stop when for a given node all the samples are belonging to the same class. So you now can make a decision. You don't have to make further splitting conditions to be applied to the decision tree because you got a optimal class. And so if there are no remaining attributes further for the splitting, then there is a criteria called majority voting. Okay. So that is applied for classifying the leaf. So let me show you what is that. You have a root node, you have multiple branches. So suppose there are two classes, 1 and 0 class. Either you want to classify the data elements as 1 class or data element as 0 class. So the leaf nodes that you are getting, suppose you got the output like 1, 0, 1, 1. So here, uh, and after that, suppose again further splitting criterias cannot be applied. In that case, what you have to do, you have to apply this majority voting. So as majority is 1, you will classify the attribute as the class 1 here. That is your majority voting. And also there is another one stopping condition. If no samples are left for more splitting or classification, then that is also a case where you need to stop. Let's move on to the most complex part, which we are going to apply to the two various examples that we are going to review in this decision tree chapter. So just try to understand. So just looking at the formulas, it's not that clear. Once we go to the practical problems, it will be more easier to understand. So there was a machine learning researcher named J. Ross Quinlan. So in 1980, he developed a decision tree algorithm which is called your ID3. Okay, it is also called iterative dichotomizer. Sorry, dichotomizer, iterative dichotomizer. Then after some time, after some years, he also presented another one, your algorithm called C4.5, which was a successor of iterative dichotomizer, that is ID3. And these ID3 and C4.5, they adopt the same greedy approach. Okay, iterative divide and conquer approach, that is your greedy approach. And in this algorithm, there is no backtracking, and the trees are constructed in a top down recursive divide and conquer manner. That is your greedy approach. So there are different measures which are used while constructing the decision tree for selecting attributes effectively. So what are those criteria? Let's look into those. So here, in a data set, you have an arbitrary tuple or a record or a row. Okay. So let's Pi be the probability of that arbitrary row or tuple in the data set D, and that may belong to a particular class, and that class can be Ci. So here I can point to a particular data sample. Okay. So it is estimated by this, your CID divided by the whole data set. What is the probability of that particular sample with relation to the whole data set by the norm of the whole data set? So in the first formula here that you see, expected information or entropy, which is needed to classify a record or tuple in the data set D. So here, suppose your Ci is the class label, D is the entire data set, and then we want to determine the Pi probability. Pi is the probability of attribute. So what is the probability of attribute that belong to a corresponding class level Ci? So the expected information needed to classify a tuple D, tuple in dataset D, is given by this formula info D. Then here that you see negative sign of summation of I equals to 1 to m for all the samples, probability Pi log base 2 probability Pi again. So here Pi is the non-zero probability that an arbitrary tuple in dataset D belongs to the class Ci, and it is estimated how? It is estimated by this CID divided by D formula, this one. Okay, so this Pi is determined by this formula here, CID divided by D. And here, then you just take the logarithm log base 2 of the pi again. And this is your first formula for calculating info-D. So info-D is actually the average amount of information that is needed to identify the class label of a tuple in the dataset D. Okay, and this info D is also called the entropy. Entropy. We will see some examples based on that. It is also called entropy. Now let's move on to the next formulas which are also important. So suppose next we have to partition the tuples in the D dataset on some attribute, random attribute A, having different attribute A having different distinct values. And those distinct values can be B number of distinct values. So you will have the attribute instances as A1, A2, A3 up to AB. Okay, so these are all instances of a particular attribute A. So then the expected information required to classify the tuple from D based on the attribute A is given by this formula here. Okay, so information needed after using A attribute to split D into B partitions to classify D. So what does it say? The term here dj divided by D, this one, it acts as the weight of the jth partition, which partition you are considering. While we're splitting the various attributes into multiple partitions, so which partition is it actually belong to, and this points to the weight actually, and this is how it is calculated. So info AD is the expected information required to classify a tuple from the D dataset D based on the partitioning by A. That is your information needed for for splitting an attribute A. Then next, the last formula, the third one, gain, information gained by branching on attribute A. Let's look into that. What is that? It is basically this info D, whatever you got in info D minus this one, information needed for the splitting A. So information gain, it can be defined as the difference between original information requirement and the new requirement after partition. Okay, this is nothing but this info AD is nothing but obtained, which is obtained after portioning or partitioning or splitting on A. So this is your third formula. And after we have all these three things calculated from our given data set, the attribute A that we consider, the attribute A with highest information gain is choosing to be chosen as the splitting attribute. So these are the three steps how we calculate the splitting condition. Okay. So these are the three algorithms we will be reviewing in this chapter: ID3, C4.5, and CART, classification and regression trees. We are going to implement them in the future, these three algorithms. So before moving on to this, let's first try to understand the entropy. Entropy is nothing but this one, info D, pi log to pi. So entropy, in a layman term, we can say that entropy is nothing but the measure of disorder. Okay, if you find out what is the issue or what is the measure of disorder in the given analysis, then it will be easier for us to find out or to eliminate that disorder to have a proper accuracy or effective result. Here, it also is helpful to measure how what information or how much information is provided by a given node. If we are given a distribution, suppose P1, P2, Pn, so these are different probabilities, and then from these probabilities, what information that we gain from the distribution, that is called the entropy of P, and how it is calculated by this. So if P1, P2 up to Pn, these are the probabilities of various classes. Suppose there are n number of classes in a data set, their probabilities are given like this, and the entropy of that given samples will be calculated in this way: negative of P1 into log P1 plus P2 into log P2, and here the log basis should be log your base of 2. Okay, don't use any other base, otherwise it will give you wrong answers. See some examples now. So for entropy, as you saw in the example, you can see from the example that if your probability, suppose multiple probabilities are,
Hello?
sorry,
What's up?
I'm hearing some background noise. Can you mute yourself? Okay. Suppose we are given with two probabilities. If someone of you is not in mute, please mute yourself. I'm getting background noise. So based on this formula that we just reviewed, so if multiple probabilities are given as 0.5 and 0.5, then the entropy will be calculated as how the formula will be. So for this 0.5, 0.5 we are seeing, see the formula here, P log P. So what you will do, 0.5 multiplied by your log of 0.5. Okay, first one, so it will be negative. Then you will do again the, sorry, by mistake I clicked it. Hold on a moment. So for the first one, we are writing 0.5 multiplied by log of, your log will be base 2, 0.5 plus the same thing, because we have 0.5 into log base 2, 0.5, and as you saw, the whole thing will be preceded with a negative sign. So this is how you will calculate the given entropy of a probabilistic distribution. If we have 0.67, then you will just replace it with 0.67. This will be 0.67. Okay. Then here also, what we will do, we have 0.33 for the second one, so it will be replaced with 0.33, 0.33. In the same way, calculate the the entropy of the probabilistic distribution 1 and 0, and these are the answers you will reveal. So entropy is a way to measure the amount of information for a given data set. So if we have smaller entropy, then we can say that that is less informative. Okay, and we may have increased surprise or uncertainty in that case. So we rely on the higher value of the entropy. And there is one thing, entropy concept always controls on how a decision tree decides to split the data, and it also actually affects how a decision tree draws its boundaries. The information gain, as I told you, another one major information gain is the main key that is used by decision tree algorithms to construct a decision tree. And decision tree algorithms will always try to maximize the information gain. And the attribute with highest information gain will be tested or split first. Let's look into one example. So here we are having a data set: house, car, child, and insurance. This is our given attributes, and there are multiple records or characteristics are available there. So here what we want to reveal, we want to know how someone is likely to purchase insurance, whether someone will purchase the insurance or no. There are actually two classes. Here, if you see this three things: entropy, information, and then gain. These three things we are going to calculate. So first we need to calculate the entropy of the whole data set. Okay. So now for finding out the whole data set entropy, as we want to see whether someone is likely to purchase insurance or not, we have to mostly rely on the target class, correct? That is a yes and no. So how many instances are there total? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Total 8 are there. What you have to do, out of total 8 instances, how many are yes? 4 in the insurance, and how many of them are no? Total 4, correct? So once you have that, so from there you have to calculate out of total 8 how many are yes, how many are no. So for that calculation, here we are doing that. So the entropy, how it will be calculated? Negative sign of mm, your yes is how many times? 4 divided by total instances 8 log 4 divided by 8 plus. So if in the bracket, if I have a plus, it will by default becomes minus. So I'm just considering it minus. Again, how many instances are no? So we have 4 divided by 8 log 4 divided by 8, correct? So again, if we simplify that, it will be 1 divided by 2, 1 divided by 2. So you will have it in this way, and your entropy of the given whole data set is your 1. Hope you understood. So once we have the whole entropy, next step is to uh, find out the entropy for every attribute individually. Now we are going to see for house, then we will move on to car, then child. From there we will start constructing our decision tree. Pay attention to this problem because similar type of problem will be given to you, and you need to calculate the entropy, information gain, all those set of measures that we are going to cover here. Next, we are going to see the entropy calculation for the house. So first we need to calculate For each class type, that is, we have either yes or no class for each attribute. So for no, we will calculate entropy. Then for yes, we calculate. Then for whole house, we will calculate the house out of the total info T. We will calculate entropy. Then we will calculate gain. There are 4 steps. So first, let's see T of no. In house, let's see how many no we have. We have this one and here. So how many no are there? Total 4 no's are there. And there you need to see this no is associated with what class of insurance. Yes. And this no are associated with all no's of the insurance. So first we need to do what? We need to find out the probabilistic distribution for no. How many no's are associated with no? So total how many no's are there? 4. And how many no are associated with no? That is 3. So it will be 3 divided by 4, log 3 divided by 4. Then out of the total no, that is 4, how many no is associated with yes? That you need to find out. The alternative one. It is 1 by 4, 1 by 4. So this is your T of no, info T of no. That is your entropy for no applied on the house. Next, if we consider the yes, so we have this 3 and this 1. Okay. Here, yes, in the same way, we will calculate the house yes entropy, Ts. So, how many yes are associated out of total 4? How many yes are associated with yes? So, 3 divided by 4. How many yes are associated with no? 1 divided by 4 out of total 4. Yes, only 1 is associated with no. So that is how you are calculating the T no and T yes. Do you have any question up to this point, or is it clear?
Um, if you could post some examples about the math and equations, that would help a lot.
Math and equation, this log value, you can do it online or you can use calculator also.
Okay.
Yeah, it's online. It's available. I'll show you one. Okay. One moment. I think I have that. Hold on. There is a website here. This one, see, you can write an equation like this, and when you click go, it will give you the solution. Yeah, I mean, here also log, suppose log, you can specify the base. Okay, space of something like 4, or let's say 1 by 4. Go. It will give you the answer like this. So there are so many online tools available. Otherwise, you can also do the calculation not by your hand, because log values you need to calculate by calculator. I find it easier this way using some online tools like this. You can just simply,
Okay. Thank you.
yeah, you need to just find out, sorry. You need to just find out what value you should put. Suppose it is 3 by 4. So just see what is actually 3 by 4. Okay, that value. Then find out log of 3 by 4. So whatever float value you will have 3 by 4, you can just find out the log base 2 of that value and just multiply them together. When when here we don't mention anything inside this, means there is a multiplication sign. Okay, here there is a multiplication sign. They are needed to be multiplied together. Here I have written that multiplication. Cross sign means multiplication. You can either use calculator or use online tools. Next thing, after calculation of no and yes, we need to find out the information or the entropy of house out of based on or reference to the whole entropy of the total data set. So how to find out that? You need to see how many yes are there, how many no are there out of total. Yes are total 4 divided by 8, total 8 samples, and 4 divided by 8. So it will be 1 by 2, 1 by 2, correct? If we divide them by 2, if you want to simplify again. So we are just putting this 1 by 2 for, 1 by 2 for yes and 1 by 2 for no here. Okay. So, and info of Tino means this, let me write it here. So it is half how we need to find out the entropy. We are first considering the entropy of Tino. So what is the probability of no? So that is this one no and this one is yes. Yes probability, no probability. So info of T no is your how much we got, that is this one 0.8113. You can further simplify it by multiplying, will be added with this. So info of T yes is how much? Same, we are getting 0.8113. It will be multiplied with what is the whole probability of yes in the data set, that is your half. So when you simplify this formula, it will give you this one as the answer. Now the next step is to find out the gain of the house attribute with respect to the whole total data set. So we need to find out what is the info T minus what is info of house T, and you will get the resultant value this much. So you will consider the gain of house T is this. Okay, so I'm just stopping here, and I want all of you to take a look at this example. Basically, try to compare it with this formula. We are just following these 3 steps. Okay, and go through the formula for calculation of house, then see how I will again go over this in the next class. Go and see how we are calculating the gain for car and then for child. Don't take the look at the child here, this decision tree. Just see in the same way how we calculated house, how can we calculate for car and child with respect to the insurance. Okay, that is your task, the take home task. So try to solve that. I will again give you a review in the next class about starting with this one, your problem here.